Waj, the danger. What is the danger? I mean, we've watched the danger of it play out, but talk me through it. What's the danger of letting these lies go unchallenged?
The danger is this, that a white supremacist conspiracy theory that was the intellectual ammunition of the KKK and the Nazis has now become mainstream thanks to the right-wing disinformation network, where literally is repeated daily on Tucker Carlson's show, to the point where white supremacists themselves say, we don't need a TV show because Tucker Carlson is our guy. Number one, something that was fringe is now mainstream, and now about 50% of Republican voters believe in the Great Replacement theory, which is a white supremacist conspiracy theory, and a third of Americans do. So although these individuals like Tucker Carlson and Lee Stefanik and other Republicans are not responsible for literally handing the gun to radicalized individuals, they are part of the same ideological infrastructure. They provide the ideological bullets, and they mainstream what was once a fringe white supremacist talking point. And what's the danger here? It's not about political correctness. It's not about, oh, they're just racist. This has incited and radicalized individuals to commit hate and terror against vulnerable communities, both here and abroad. This is no longer a lone wolf. This is not a domestic terror threat. This is an international globalized terror threat, from Christchurch, New Zealand, to Texas, to you saw it in New Zealand. You see it also right now, just last week in Buffalo. You saw it in Tree of Life. They attacked Jews, blacks, Hispanics, Muslims. We're all, quote unquote, invaders, seen as replacing white folks. So this is the problem. It is the #1 domestic terror threat in America, white supremacist terrorism. And literally the talking points and the ideology of these terrorists is echoed nightly on Fox News. Well, this is where we are.
Let's pick it up right there. Angela, you have the New York Times reporting how the Trump years helped transform Fox News as a network, writing during that period, quote, Fox has leaned harder into stories of illegal immigrants or non-white Americans caught in acts of crime or violence, often plucked from local news sites and turbocharged by the channel's vast digital news operation. Talk to me about the mechanics of this, Angela. How has Fox created an environment, an ecosystem where something like replacement theory is not just embraced, but is peddled?
Yeah, I mean, they really are the engine that drives the feedback loop, and that loop is speeding up faster and faster and faster. And the way it sort of works is that Tucker's producers and sort of mine parts of social media, in particular the Chans and other message board communities, which has been well documented, the same communities that the Buffalo shooter was on, for these anecdotes or examples. They then put it into the Fox News ecosystem on primetime. Fox News's so-called news programs cover it the next day. They cover Tucker Carlson's segment as if it was news. So that gets it into the more legitimate side of Fox News, and they do more, reporting around it. And then they hammer away at those anecdotes. So those things become touchstones, fuel for that engine. And then what they do at night is explain it. Why is this happening? Well, that's where Great Replacement theory comes in. And they do that cycle over and over and over again, and it's sped up. And there was a major inflection point that I want everyone to remember, and that was 1 year ago, actually. Tucker Carlson gave his most explicit embrace of Great Replacement theory to date, which was about a year ago, even though he had been touching it up until then. And Lachlan Murdoch took a very rare response. He runs the network. He did a thing that he normally doesn't do, which is publicly respond to the criticism. And in fact, he gave Tucker Carlson, in that moment, not only did he defend the segment that Tucker Carlson did, but he gave him a green light to continue to perpetuate and intensify his reliance on the Great Replacement theory. And that, in turn, sped up the feedback loop more. And that's how you get, which we found, 50 Republican candidates and outside groups running individual ads explicitly touting Great Replacement theory over the last year. And that was just with a cursory search. So that's how the mechanics work. And it's been not just blessed, but embraced by the people that run Fox News.
Renee, talk to me about the way it has been embraced by GOP leaders.
Well, it's obvious. They think they have red meat here. They think they're speaking very directly to their base. So you're talking about this really toxic cocktail of white entitlement, irrational fear, and the violence that history has shown us again and again can ignite that will eventually be the death of this country. What Tucker Carlson does is spread this manure about replacement theory and fertilize a garden of division and hate. But he gets ratings. He is the highest rating cable host, I think, in history. And Republicans see that. They see something that their base is responding to. So they spew the same thing. And I think what's important to always remember is Tucker Carlson did not invent this. The first place people might have started to hear about this was back in 2017 in Charlottesville, when you had neo-Nazis and white supremacists screaming, "Jews will not replace us." There's that word again. In 2018, Donald Trump talked about, how he didn't want immigrants coming here from, these countries he referred to with a really vile profanity. And he said, why can't we get more people from Norway? Well, why would that be? Norway is 90% white. That's the whole idea of this. It's always this sense that somehow we have to defend what rightfully belongs to us by any means necessary. And that's what Tucker Carlson keeps amplifying. And Republicans think that is political gold for them.